Welcome to the Ringer NFL show. I'm Sheil Kapadia. Today, we are predicting headlines for 3 Week 18 matchups, the 3 big ones. Bucs, Panthers on Saturday afternoon, Seahawks, 49ers on Saturday night, and Ravens, Steelers on Sunday night. My guest today is the Ringer's Diante Lee. We will predict what we think is going to happen in those games and break down the matchups. All right, take a break, come back with Diante. The Ringer NFL show is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live and your way so you can build the bet that fits your play. Plus, don't miss out on the NFL playoffs all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/RingerNFL to get started. 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. All right, we are back here on the Ringer NFL show with my friend Diante Lee. We are predicting headlines as we do for the biggest Week 18 matchups. Diante, let's start with the Panthers at the Bucs here. Now, let me give you the scenarios real quick. So if the Panthers beat the Bucs, they're in. They're also in if the Falcons beat the Saints. I can explain that in a minute, but yes, they can sort of back their way into a playoff spot. And for the Bucs to get in, they got to win this game and they need the Falcons to lose to the Saints. What is your headline in this NFC South that we've been kind of trying to avoid, talking about? It's been very lackluster, but here we are. Now's the time. What do you think happens in this game?
I think that the headline is ahead of schedule. Carolina beats Tampa Bay, punches their playoff ticket. That's where I'm at with it. Okay. I think that, you know this in the conversation that we've had over the last 2 years. I'm big on trend lines, right? Like, I always want to know, how have you been over the last month? That's always what I'm looking at. And if you're just looking at Tampa Bay over the last month of the season, they've just cratered in so many different areas, right? It definitely looks like, and this was happening, I would say, around the midseason mark as well. You can tell that the injuries up front on their offensive line, the in and out availabilities of their receivers has definitely knocked off their rhythm. I would say really what's central at this is Baker Mayfield is just not playing at the same level right now that he was playing at earlier in the year. You're seeing more mistakes under pressure. You're seeing him create more pressure for himself. You're seeing more poorly timed passes into these closing windows. And then on the other side of the ball, and I think that this has just been a story of Todd Bowles' time as a head coach, you're just seeing a defense that it feels like more offenses just have figured out. Can he get on a heater and blitz you and create a lot of problems for your quarterback? Of course, right? But there's a feast or famine kind of nature to the way that Tampa Bay's been playing all season. Some of that is just kind of endemic to the way that they play, the way that they build their roster. And right now, they're just on the losing end of that. And I think with the way that Carolina plays, not turning the ball over, trying to control possessions and minimize possessions, the success that they've had on fourth down, the success they've had with getting scoring drives when they get in the red zone, all of those are the margins that allow you to beat a team like Tampa Bay that can go for 40 points, but just as easily give up 40, right? I think that because Carolina kind of lives on a more even plane, I would say on a week-by-week basis, I think I just trust them more going into this game. It's like Carolina against a really good team. You kind of don't trust them at all. I know they beat the Rams earlier this season, but I feel like most of the time there's a ceiling where it's like, you saw it last week against Seattle. It's just like they're helpless. They have no chance against this team, even though the Seahawks weren't even really playing that well. But against a team like the Bucs, you're right. They just haven't been a good team. They've lost 7 of 8. You work around, high school students. Would they call this a mid-off? Diante, am I using that right? Okay. It's definitely a mid-off.
All right. This is a mid-off. Bucs are 20th in DVOA. I mean, that might even be generous, honestly. Panthers are 24th in DVOA. Like, these are not, they're a little further away from even a mid-off here. Right. Sorry, listeners. I won't say that again. That'll be the last time you'll hear it from me. But I think that's why when you look at this game, it's just so hard to predict because you don't trust either team. You wish, I like in these games when you can be like, well, at least I trust this unit, Right. Sometimes it's not a great great, but you don't even have that here. It's
you don't have
run
that.
defense,
No.
pass offense, run off. Any metric you want to look at, it's going to be middle of the pack or below average here. So yeah, I don't hate your pick there of a Panthers win. You know me, I like to root for chaos. And week 18 chaos, I mean, that's one of my favorites. So here's what I got. Falcons win sends Panthers to the playoffs. So here's how this works.
Okay.
Here's my ideal scenario. Saturday, this game, Saturday afternoon, it's just bad. It's sloppy. Everyone's laughing. People are making jokes on social media. It's like, I can't believe one of these teams are going to be in the playoffs. Bucs end up winning the game. It's nothing where you're like, oh, they're back and they're dangerous. It's like a 23-20 game.
19-17.
Yeah,
something just
lots
gross.
of turnovers, a muffed punt, something like that. But then the Panthers aren't out of it. Because remember, this game's on Saturday. So in this scenario, both teams go home. Sunday, they're forced to watch the Falcons against the Saints. And the Falcons are going to win that game against the Saints. It's their destiny to just, win these games that don't matter. And now it's like, oh yeah, remember Bijan Robinson? It's incredible. Yeah. Well, why haven't they supported this? Why are they in the position they're in? Why aren't they actually playing for a playoff spot? So this is their destiny, a 3-way tie. That's the reason why the Panthers would be in. So a 2-way tie, Bucs win the tiebreaker, but a 3-way tie, the Panthers actually win the tiebreaker. So they go home, they watch the Falcons beat the Saints, and now all of a sudden, in the most hilarious NFC South plot twist imaginable, the Panthers, even with losing their last game, back their way into a playoff spot and host a playoff game on Wild Card Weekend. That's my dream. Night game is like the opposite. These are two teams that have looked really good. Seahawks, 49ers. 49ers are underdogs as of this recording, 1.5-point underdogs at home here. We know the scenarios. Winner gets the 1 seed, huge advantage. You get the bye. You get home playoff games throughout. If the Seahawks lose, Diante, they can't fall further than the 5 seed. So either they're the 1 seed or they're going to whoever wins the NFC South in the first round, in the first round of the playoffs there. If the 49ers lose, they could fall further. They could be the 6 seed and they could have to go to Carolina. If they're the 5 seed, it's Carolina or Tampa. If it's the 6 seed, they're going to Philadelphia or Chicago. So they have more scenarios to look at here. What is your headline for Seahawks 49ers, which should be a really fun game?
God, I don't. This is just
hard.
So fascinating.
This is hard. Yeah.
The way I think this game is going to play out is maybe not reflective of how I feel about these two teams in general, but I think that my headline is unreal. San Francisco clinches NFC's number 1 seed.
Ooh, going with the Niners.
I think when you just watch the way the San Francisco has been playing offensively, we talked a little bit about it last week, that this might be Kyle Shanahan's best coaching job when you look at what he's drawing out of this offensive line, what he's drawing out of this receivers room, what he's got out of Brock Purdy now that it seems like his foot is healthy again and he's able to be mobile and extend and really drive the ball. I mean, it is machine-like right now. Now, have they played against the greatest of defenses every week? No, I would say that Sunday night was probably not reflective of what we're going to see this week against Seattle, right? The Bears offer very little resistance if they're not forcing turnovers and getting sacks. But I will say the efficiency, right? They've been able to kind of toggle between, okay, Brock, we need you to get the ball out quickly within 2.4 seconds underneath, go create yards after the catch with George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. They've done that really well. And as a credit to Purdy, now that he's healthy, he's been able to get back to okay, I can really kind of hang in the pocket. I can extend. I can try to push the ball downfield to DeMarcus Robinson. When Ricky Pearsall is there, I can push the ball into those intermediate areas to him as well and allow them to go make those plays that get us the chunk gains that we need. I don't think that this means that there's anything wrong with Seattle's defense, because if I was just judging every defensive unit, I would say that this is the one that has the least weaknesses of any in the league. But I do think that Kyle Shanahan is just so good at being able to pluck away little by little and then find that chunk gain that they need. I think this will be one of those 24-21 type of games, but you're going to see another machine-like performance from San Francisco's offense.
We're on the same page here. Diante,
Nice.
I didn't think we would be. I thought you would go with sort of the defensive team and I would be like, nope, I think the 49ers, but I've got Shanahan stamps coach of the year case as 49ers secure 1 seed. Now, I don't know if he's going to win it or not. I do think if they win,
feel like he should.
I think he's got a real chance at it. Yeah, like Ben Johnson, Vrabel,
I get it, right?
Liam Cohen.
All those have been great years.
Yeah,
but you talk about your best edge rusher tearing his ACL and your best defensive player overall breaking his leg before you even got to the midseason mark. And you've been able to draw 13 wins out of this unit. Your star receiver basically has not been part of the team since last winter. And you've still been able to be the top overall seed in your conference, right? Like it would be an incredible achievement, especially with how competitive the rest of the NFC West has been.
Yeah, I think you spelled it out well. And it's not like their defense has answered the call. It's their defense hasn't been very good. Their offense has kind of had no margin for error. I mean, you mentioned machine-like earlier, 3 straight games, 90th percentile or better EPA per drive. Like I don't care who you're playing, that type of just, all right, we have to be on it every single week. I mean, they throw a pick 6 on the first play last week, and then it's like they still had a 90th percentile game because the rest of the game they just scored on pretty much every single possession. So that is hard to achieve. It's tough. I feel like they will find some answers. If you look at Shanahan versus McDonald the last couple of years, he hasn't lit him up, but it's been like, I would give slight edge to Shanahan. Like he's produced above average offensive games, I think, in all 3 of those games. They haven't been elite. It's not like he's got the answer or anything like that, but they haven't gotten completely shut down, which I feel like is the key against Seattle there. So this game's interesting for so many reasons, but I feel like for Darnold, it's can you flip the narrative game? This is like a game you should be able to play well in. 49ers defense is bad. As I just mentioned, they're 26th in EPA per drive. You were in the same spot last year, which I forgot until Austin Gale reminded me earlier this week on the show. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the exact same spot Darnold was in last year. So you've got that aspect of it. And then for Shanahan, it's like, these are the spots where you can sort of earn your reputation. It's not beating up on the Colts and the Bears. You're going up against one of the top defensive minds in the NFL, maybe the best defense in the NFL for Purdy too. Those improv plays and doing the Dougie against the Bears, that's cute. But now the stakes are high.
It's a little different now.
It's the Seahawks, and can you do it here? So I just feel like Shanahan, Purdy, but probably Darnold is number 1, right? On the kind of what's the narrative coming out of this game. Let me ask you this, fun subplot here with the Rams, Diante, because let's say the 49ers lose this game. Now, the Rams play on Sunday against the Cardinals. And Sean McVay said after the Monday night loss, we're playing our starters. I kind of think he was in his feelings a little bit, and I don't know. I want to see what that looks like later in the week. But from the Rams' perspective, if the 49ers lose, you know that if you win on Sunday, you're the 5 seed. And that means going to Carolina or Tampa versus you could sit your starters, get the week of rest. But if you lose and you're the Rams, now all of a sudden you're going to Chicago or Philadelphia. Now, if you're saying, hey, to get to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to beat good teams, I get that aspect of it. But man, there is, to me, a big difference. And anything can happen. We know weird stuff happens in the playoffs, but there's a big difference between going to Carolina/Tampa and going to Philadelphia/Chicago. So if this scenario plays out where Niners lose Saturday and the Rams have to make that decision, what would you do, or what do you think Sean McVay does on Sunday?
If I'm Sean McVay, I totally understand how he felt after that game because you have to be frustrated, right? I think that they've been kind of white knuckling, as every other team in the NFC West has, because they've all been angling for either the 1 seed or the 5 seed to make sure that they're in the best position possible. And I think right now, coming off of what happened on Monday, the smart thing to do, in my opinion, is give your guys a week. Make sure that Matthew Stafford gets a week. You get your arm refreshed. Make sure Puka Nacua gets a week for all the beating that he takes. You get a week where there's no stress on Devontae Adams' status at all. Allow your offensive line to kind of get a week off. It's whatever, man. You honestly might be able to put your backups on the field.
I was just thinking
Arizona
that Garoppolo could actually beat the Cardinals, as I was thinking about it.
You might be able to run for 270 yards against the Cardinals defense and be able to go win the game with 3 rushing touchdowns, right? Yeah. So I think that it's not a do or die scenario in the sense that like, oh, we know that Chicago and Philadelphia for certain are the best teams in the NFC. Can you lose to them? Yes. But I don't think that you should feel so uncomfortable with having to travel to play either of those teams if you're LA. If I'm them, you take the week, get fresh, and then go try to win a Super Bowl, which I still think is very much within their range of outcomes right now.
You talked me into it. I think if you have Stafford and Puka Nacua healthy for the playoff run, take your shot. Like I would rather have that.
I'd much rather that than play Tampa Bay in the first round.
All of a sudden you're risking it, and until Stafford tweaks his back, or Nakua can only play one way. I think we know that. It's very entertaining, but he's not going to be like cautious about anything. And to your point, I think they're still going to be favorites with Garoppolo in that game. So I think that's probably what the Rams do in that matchup. All right, let's take a break. We come back. Sunday nighter, Ravens, Steelers. All right, we are back on the Ringer NFL show. Ravens and Steelers. Steelers 3.5-point underdogs at home in this game. We don't know if Lamar Jackson's going to play. I don't know if we're going to know that until, honestly, Sunday morning. It feels like one of those, but we'll see how the rest of the week goes here. What's your headline, Diante, for this one?
It's Jaws of Life, Derrick Henry. I'll say in parentheses because we don't know his status yet. Lamar Jackson save Baltimore season. I think this is a Baltimore win. I think this is one of those John Harbaugh escapes after all the scrutiny over the last 2 weeks. I wasn't the first person to notice it, but it was very funny to me seeing John Harbaugh walk the sidelines with the play sheet when they were playing the Packers. I was like, oh, okay. Clearly, something, it seems to be landing, right? Like, whatever this criticism is.
How many coaches are we at by week 18 are like, I'm going to be more involved? It feels like, a quarter of the league this has happened to at this point.
Hey, man, optics are everything at this point. Perception is reality at this point, especially if people are talking about your job security. But I think that they've landed upon enough over the last couple weeks. I think that they've learned, I would like to believe that they have learned that their identity is just in getting in the heavy personnel and mashing teams.
All right. I've got a similar one. I don't feel confident at all about it, but I've got Ravens claw all the way back to win division and host wild card game. So the winner of this game obviously is the 4 seed. They'll host Houston, Buffalo, the Chargers, the Jaguars. The losers out here, I think you nailed the analysis. I don't know what that Steelers offense. I have no confidence that they're going to look good with without DK Metcalf after what we watched last week. At the same time, it's like, I don't trust the Ravens. We've talked all season about the Ravens. There's no reason
they're always
to trust
prone
them.
To blow a coverage.
Yeah,
they're prone to miss a tackle.
It might not take a lot. Yeah, special teams. This could be a Tomlin special where all of a sudden Boswell's nailing 54-yarders and they're getting to play on special teams. So this game is destined to be decided by like a weird call or a muffed
this
punt.
Is 100%
red zone
pass
turnover.
Interference that gains an offense 55 yards because Aaron Rodgers took a deep shot, right? This is a face mask on 3rd and 21 that keeps a drive alive that ends up deciding the game. I'm with you 100% on that.
But here's the thing. I don't know that the game is that interesting. I don't think either of these teams is making a playoff run in the AFC. But the most interesting aspect of this game is what happens to the team that loses. And I've been waiting to get your opinion on this because you got the Harbaugh stuff, you got the Tomlin stuff, you got Rodgers. He only signed a 1-year deal. Those things are all interesting. However, friend and former colleague in The Athletic, Mike Sandow, had a piece this week. And here's the headline. The Ravens season is riding on week 18. Lamar Jackson's future could be too. I'm like, all right, you got me. I'm clicking into that every single time. Then I was looking around. Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, has brought this up as well. The idea is that this relationship between Lamar Jackson and the Ravens is strained. The Baltimore Sun had an article about this. And at the very least, there's some gossipy, rumory type whispers in league circles about the idea that the Ravens could move on from Lamar Jackson after this season. Sandow had a prominent agent telling him the biggest story of the offseason is going to be Lamar. This is going to be crazy. Again, there was that Baltimore Sun article. They're talking about Lamar's conditioning and his diet and sleeping in meetings and staying up late playing video games. And where is this? This is interesting to be coming out at this point in the season. So my question to you, is this something? Is this foreshadowing legit where this could actually become a story in the offseason? Or are you calling, nope, this is nothing. I don't buy any of it. Where are you with some of these whispers that are coming out right now?
I think that there is something to some of the reports that we're hearing. It's just, what do you actually make of it? Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not Kyler Murray to me, where it's like, okay, we think this guy might have some maturity problems. He might lack in some leadership qualities. And we can very clearly see that it is costing us games because of how we're preparing throughout the week. I think this might be more of a, all right, man, it's kind of frustrating that we lose you to injuries every season. It always feels like everything's on the line every year. And we would like to maybe feel a little bit more secure for a team that is paying the money that we're paying to have a franchise quarterback. All that can be true. I do still think that it's asinine for anybody to suggest that Lamar Jackson be traded. Right? I think that what's more likely is that you restructure his deal, which is what you do for every quarterback who has a cap hit over $65 million, right? Yeah. He's at like 75. You restructure the deal, you add years, and then you go build the rest of the roster around him. What I will say that is kind of frustrating, some of the things that I roll my eyes about when it comes to Lamar is like, and I think that fans should remember this, his process is pretty insular, right? His mom is his agent. That means that you're not getting reports from agents who are talking to each other at WME. You're not getting reports from agents who are talking to each other at Athletes First or CAA. These are a lot of people who are outside of this guy's circle that are kind of pontificating, right? So you always kind of have to take all this stuff with a grain of salt because he's just by default of his mom representing him for most of his deals, he's going to be outside of these circles that have now kind of permeated in what we talk about in terms of national media coverage and where these leaks come from. And that's not to take anything away from Mike Sando's reporting. Mike Sando knows how much respect I have for him, right? That's a former colleague of both of ours at The Athletic, right? I have a lot of respect for his reporting, and I know that it's well vetted if he's willing to put it in an article and put his byline to it, right? But I do think that I would be very careful if I was a fan inferring anything more than this is just the chatter about Baltimore at this time. The same thing with the Mike Preston piece in the Baltimore Sun, right? Like, I'm not knocking where he got the reporting from. I'm not going to question where he got the reporting from. I do think, though, it might be a little bit easier to poke holes in what's going on with Lamar because he does not necessarily have access to the same channels in terms of national media coverage to be able to go play the insider scoop. This is my view of it anonymously type of thing.
Right. He could do that if he wanted to. He could be Ted, but I don't
he
think
did it once. To me, he did it once and he caught hell for it the year that he was dealing with that MCL injury. And he put out the statement and it didn't really help quell any of the concerns and storylines that were going on about him. I think, what was that, the 2021 or 2022 season, right? Yeah. And then that ended up making it almost a bigger situation. And I think that since then, he has been very quiet about these matters, which sometimes allows, because you're not working those back channels, that allows these stories to grow legs to the point where ESPN and us and all these other publications have to talk about it because that's the only reporting that we have to go off of at this time.
Yeah, I love the context you gave there because his mother is his agent, and you are reading in the reporting that, well, this has made it very hard for the team to kind of communicate with Lamar Jackson, maybe on things that they just feel like, hey, it would be better if, trying ways to help him, because usually you have the agent as a buffer where the agent can have, not contentious, but agent can go at it with the GM and then relay the information that the player needs. Whereas this is a different situation where that's not happening. But I also read these reports and it almost feels like belly aching to me. Like I'm so sorry, NFL team. You're going to have, you're going to have to find a way to communicate to the player who's in the building every single day, who's been a part of your organization, who you've known since you've drafted. Like, if there are those things that you feel like, hey, Lamar, we gotta get you right with the nutrition, with the diet, and you're complaining that he doesn't have an agent, so you can't have that conversation. Like, what is the money for then? If you're the GM, if you're the coach, if you're the other people, what does that say about your organization if you can't have those conversations with him? And then and I'm not saying this is like, I don't know where any of the stuff. Mike Sandoz was from just another agent. The Mike Preston column, I don't know where that came from, but it doesn't to me make the organization look good. And I'm sorry that he chose not to have an agent. I could easily make the case that quarterback contracts aren't that hard, and I don't want to give that percentage to an agent, and I'm the MVP, so just pay me at the top of the market, and that's a smart move. Now, I understand there are benefits to having an agent, but also, just go further behind the curtain. Agents run a lot of the reporting and the coverage that you see on a national scale, and so when you see some of these things coming out, I'm like, yeah, of course, there are certain people who are going to say things that it would benefit him so much to have an agent, but to me, it's just like, I don't really want to hear that complaining from the organization side that these are all issues because he doesn't have an agent. It's like, figure it out. That's what the money's for.
Do you know what $185 million guaranteed dollars does? If you're an organization after you hand that to your quarterback, it gives you permission to hold him accountable if you have actual issues with how he's conducting himself in the building. So if this is true, and if everything that we are hearing is 100% true, you know what that means? People got to step up to the plate then. This is your franchise quarterback. Yeah. You guys have not gotten past the AFC Championship game. And in most of these playoff runs, you have had a very disappointing exit. If it really bothers you the way that the reporting in that Baltimore Sun piece sounds like, then you pull number 8 into your meeting room, and it's Eric DeCosta and John Harbaugh and Steve Bisciotti, and you say, hey, buddy, it's time to wake up. You count for $75 million against our cap in 2026. I need a $75 million cap hit player to show up here every single day, because that's what we feel like it's going to take to go compete for a Super Bowl. And again, that's assuming, giving everybody the utmost benefit of the doubt, that everything that we've seen that was reported is causing the amount of rifts that we're hearing that it is in the building. Otherwise, I don't feel bad for you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your franchise quarterback might have a few things that you got to work through. Yeah. Hey, man. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid had to figure some stuff out for them to become a dynasty. Josh Allen had to go work on his game for Buffalo to become the machine that it is now. I don't feel bad for any of these people involved. And that's Lamar as well. He has an end that he has to hold up, on his, He's got to be available. He does have to take care of his body if that is becoming a problem in terms of him being durable all season. But outside of that, it's your job, organization. If this was bothering you this much, you're the one who handed him a 5-year deal. So go figure it out. Do something about it. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. I mean, you've won a lot of games, and this is a 2-time MVP. Figure it out. Like this is an NFL thing, not to go further,
100%.
But it's just like they always, even during the draft, this guy hasn't, taken snaps in a pro style system. This guy hasn't played press coverage. This guy hasn't had to do real pass protection. Oh, I'm
These
sorry.
These head coaches made
You're
$16+ million a year.
I'm so sorry. They're not coming to you as finished products. Like, it just drives me nuts sometimes. And again, we don't know exactly where it's coming from. But when I hear those things, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're going to have to work a little bit to figure this out. That's what, again, for the 4th time, that's what the money's for. So, all right, that was fun. I knew once we got into that, we were going to get to a fiery place with what's going on in Baltimore. Man, again, this exact game might not have juice, but the ramification, like the 24, 48, 72 hours after this game on one side or the other, depending on who loses, that's going to have a lot of juice. These aren't the last times we're going to be talking about Tomlin and Rodgers and Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson. There's going to be something there depending on how this game goes. All right. Thank you to Diante Lee. I will be right back with the Ringer 107. Today's Ringer 107 is brought to you by FanDuel. No Friday episode this week because of the holidays, so check out the Ringer's social media channels. My official picks, they'll all be posted there. Maybe you noticed we're in first place all of a sudden, 9-1 the last 2 weeks. I don't want to jinx it. Still a long way to go, still under 500. Could go south at any moment, but in a good spot right now. So just some of the games we talked about. The Bucs, I like a little bit. The Niners, I like a little bit. Vikings are interesting to me. They're home against the Packers, who are locked into that 7 seed. So don't have anything to play for. So maybe the Vikings come out, well-coached team against some backups and win that game big. Broncos are big home favorites against the Chargers team that's not going to play Justin Herbert. That one was interesting to me as well. So those are just some of the ones I'm looking at. Again, still finalizing my picks. So check the Ringer social media channels for the official picks for the Ringer 107. The Ringer 107 is, of course, brought to you by FanDuel. Odds subject to change. All right. Appreciate everyone listening. Happy New Year to you. We will be back Monday morning reacting to Week 18, looking ahead to the playoff matchups in the wild card round. Thanks to Christopher Sutton for producing. Alysha, Tsuji on social. Additional production supervision by Conor, Nevins, and Arjuna, Ramgopowell. I'm Sheil Kapadia. Talk to you next time on the Ringer NFL Show. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 888-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.